Blessedly, all of the money Clave had hidden away was found. Had we waited even a day, why, I could not fathom the extent a schoolyard bully should have liked to spend. What luck that we were so quick.
What an awful mess this was. I am relieved the deposits were found, and you did well to solve it. But there is no excuse for fighting on the school grounds, Mr. Holmes. Your actions have forcibly engaged Mr. Watson and Miss Whiteley in this as well. I accept that the fault is wholly mine.
Oh, but it's not! It was by my own will that And Holmes didn't start the fight. Clave did. Holmes only acted in self-defense.
She's right, sir. Very well. I understand. But see here. Even if for good reason, you violated the rules firmly set by this academy. Had it been worse, this could have resulted in your suspension. I advise you to keep yourselves out of trouble. Unless you rather like the idea of expulsion. Yes, sir. Miss Whiteley, this is only your first day, but I must extend this warning to you as well.
Yes, sir.
I expect you to behave like angels for the next few days. Mr. Watson, you are to go to Miss Sisley's supplementary lesson after this. Do you understand? I understand. As for Clave McCloud, he will be formally handled by the police. We were able to find all the money he had hidden. And lastly, Slater, you will be suspended for 3 days. I should also like for you to explain the truth before your class. You had them very worried, you know. Yes, sir.
We retired from the lounge after we were dismissed. As we bid pleasant goodbyes to Slater, Watson did as instructed and went to attend his supplementary lesson. Holmes and I were left. Oh, really? I thought that we would have something different happen here. How intriguing. Okay, so if it's just me and Holmes, I can skip through this. We've done this before. Might as well skip through all this until we fall asleep. Let's see. Alright, this lovely picture. Okay. And I was going to send the signal. Alright, and just going to fall asleep. Okay. So Watson should be coming to our rescue. We can start again. Sorry, Holmes, I love you, but we've done this already. How much time had passed since then? It was so very quiet in that dark, dingy space. Only the snores of an unruly heiress could be heard. Holmes laid over her a small blanket he found amongst the storage before tending to the signal again. Then, right as the stroke of midnight could be heard, Holmes heard a distinct shuffling from just outside the door.
Who's there?
The door clicked as it was unlocked. On the other side was the man he hoped to see.
Hello? Are you all right? I'm well. Is Emily with you? She's sleeping, but she is also well. Music to my ears. Nearly scared me to death when I realized you two were missing. But why were you even here? A tale for whilst we walk, my friend. We ought to carry Miss Whiteley out first. Of course. You said she's sleeping, right? I'll prop her on my shoulders.
Watson slowly lifted the tiny young lady onto his back.
Have you been injured? Not in any way that was substantial. Miss Whiteley, however... Never mind. Come off it. If you're concerned, just say it.
Even whilst he carried Emily, Watson found no trouble playfully poking and prodding at his friend.
That's enough, Watson. You'll drop her.
Watson? Why are you here?
Did I wake you? Feeling all right?
I am. Then we were able to escape the storage room.
Yes, after I caught your signal. The light coming from a window was reflecting off one of the academy's walls. Any later, though, and I wouldn't have noticed a thing. Look over there. See? The moon's about completely covered by clouds.
It was as he said. Only the tiniest sliver of moonlight could be seen. My vision was faint, but I could see the vague shape of a carriage not far ahead. Someone carried me, there was a way home. I was safe, and knowing only this as more of an instinct than a thought, I permitted myself to once more slumber.
Sleeping again already? Letter. Today was quite the day.
We parted ways at the academy at midnight. My very first day of school was eventful, and I could not have wanted for more. I am very surprised, though, that that ended up being the whole thing with her luck again. Alright, so he let us sleep. The doorbell rang. Okay. Visitors. Oh, it's Lestrade. I thought it was the boys. I guess that's later. Ah. Alright, let's just read Pendleton's thing.
Speaking of, Holmes and Watson visited whilst you were sleeping.
How sweet! My, these are biscuits! They were the same brand as the one that had been in my pocket. Holmes does it again. He only had one bite and still could tell it was McVitie's vanilla cream flavor.
Here are the letters they wrote to accompany your gift.
Oh? What do they say? How was your first day at the academy? I hope you'll have a fantastic time here with us. Watson. If you eat too many sweets, you'll grow fatter than a pig. You do well to learn some self-control. Holmes.
He really is quite the detective. He's already deduced the side effects of your unfortunate eating habits.
What? I told you that I'm a growing girl. Huh? Hey, and that one's done. A most precarious afternoon tea. Okay, we're going to be skipping most of this episode as well. There's a little bit with Holmes and Watson in the beginning, but this is mostly Marple's episode, so let's skip through a lot of this. About poison. Okay, we gotta get to school. How can he insinuate such things? I'm not a glutton, and I'm far from sheltered. Why, I'm a very sensible woman. Sensible enough to know that a murder so close to here means I ought to inspect my meals before eating them from now on. My, did you read the paper this morning? It was an honest-to-goodness shock to read Earl Alvin was poisoned. You'd never think it would happen to a man called the Iron Stomach. Perhaps, but obtaining poison isn't as difficult as one might think. You can purchase arsenic if you visit a chemist, and if you're related to farmers in the countryside, they use a number of things to ward off pests. Oh, stop. I don't want to hear it. The entire academy was buzzing with talk of Earl Alvin's unexpected death.
Good morning, Emily. Did you read the paper?
You mean the news about Earl Alvin? Yes, I did.
It's horrible, isn't it? They say it's arsenic. Thought to have been caused by arsenic. Nothing more. Not one shred of detail on his symptoms. Not everyone is a hardened investigator. The specifics wouldn't be the most pleasant read for the average Londoner.
Oh? What happens if you ingest arsenic? My curiosity was piqued.
Symptoms of arsenic poisoning initially include stomach pains, diarrhea, and nausea. After a while, sensory changes can also occur, and in the worst-case scenario, death.
Thank you.
I have some photographs on my person, incidentally. This one has facial swelling, but that only occurs with acute intoxication. If it were chronic intoxication, the skin becomes more similar to this one.
Holmes spread upon the desk a variety of photographs for all to see. Ah! I can't remember what male student A's voice was. I can't remember either of this male. Oh, whatever. Fix it in post.
This is absolutely horrific.
Fellow schoolmates gathered to browse Holmes's gallery of evidence, only to sour upon first sight.
This one here represents paralytic shellfish poisoning. Word poison from, say, a scallop. Paralysis would begin in the lips and face before spreading to the limbs, eventually leading to motor impairment, difficulty breathing, and finally death.
Ah! It's a lovely collection, Holmes. I'm plenty satisfied now.
If it were a clam, you would experience chills, nausea, and dark spotting as a result of blood vessels bursting under the skin, all within 24 to 48 hours. In due time, you'll begin bleeding from both the gums and nasal cavities. In a severe case, this leads to delirium and... Holmes? You've made brilliant work of nauseating the entire room. A picture is worth 1,000 words. In light of the murder, I even thought to gift the classroom with my research materials on poison. And for what? You find it nauseating? Do you think you can learn to distinguish so many symptoms this way? I agree that it's important, but some don't have the stomach for it. Surely you agree, Emily?
Me? Well, that's simple enough to answer. I agree completely. The other schoolmates don't like it, so it's better to put it away for now. Most would react similarly when the content is so sudden and ghastly in nature.
See? She understands. Try to show some consideration for those around you.
Watson nodded with unbound enthusiasm now that I was his ally.
Then what? What happens when you come across a grisly crime scene? Coddling detectives won't help anyone. You and I won't have a problem since we're used to it, but it could be the first time one of our schoolmates has seen anything like it. Like Emily, for instance. Are you quite certain you're all right after seeing those, Emily?
Rather. If I'm to become a detective, then I'll have to get used to the imagery at some point.
I didn't know you were so serious about it. Just don't force yourself if it's too awful. The first time you see things like these, they may appear in your dreams from time to time.
Oh no! The horror! Yet, I had seen enough details right before then to furnish weeks of nightmares, so I could only pray for pleasantries in my sleep. It was time for our classroom to lunch. Phew, I'm famished. I planned to ask Watson and Holmes to accompany me to the courtyard, and so I surveyed the room for them, only to be distracted by a dense, unwell air amongst my schoolmates.
Are you going to eat?
Not now. I've lost my appetite.
I certainly can't bring myself to think of food right now. Holmes's display from earlier had left an unfortunate impression that would not soon go away.
I weep for the next generation of detectives. All this fuss over a few photographs. How do they expect to face the real thing at a crime scene? Nonsense! Even I felt a bit queasy when you laid them out on the desk.
My mind wandered to those images again. How funny it was that I suddenly wasn't nearly as eager for lunch as I was moments before.
Best enjoy the sight like a good book, or I'll soon suggest looking into a new career.
Holmes groaned audibly enough for the classroom to hear. He may have had an effect on most, but one particular student remained content to lunch despite him.
Ah, the first cup of tea is always the most refreshing, isn't it? My Queensware set was the right choice. It suits me perfectly today.
There she is. The girl, seemingly without a care for her surroundings, had placed her teacup on her delicately decorated desk. Between her tableware and tablecloth, she was equipped less for a classroom and more for a canteen. There laid steaming tea, various pristinely sliced sandwiches, scrummy-looking bread, and tarte tatin for dessert. More than enough for one lady. Tea poured from a carafe is meant to be cold, but the smell wafting through the room was as sweet as it was warm. It was a small wonder she was able to set it up so quickly. Goodness! I thought the entire room lost their appetite, but far from it with her. I don't know if we were properly introduced. Huh? Oh, she spotted me. Her hair, glossy as spider silk, was so refined that not a single hair was out of place, and its pale shade made to complement a delicately light, unblemished complexion. I saw her, Her uncommonly large eyes made somehow larger by how she stared unblinkingly in my direction, and wondered briefly if I may have been schoolmates with a doll. I dared myself to engage her. That music. Hello. I just wanted to tell you that I'm rather impressed with your meal. Do you normally lunch this way?
Yes, I do.
How lovely. I ate in the courtyard yesterday, so I didn't notice. Your maid must be a wonderful cook to make everything look so appetizing.
Not at all. I cook this myself. In fact, I make a habit of baking bread every morning using my grandmother's special recipe.
Incredible! I'm so impressed. All by herself. I had to observe her meal again, now doubly delectable with this new information in mind. Oh, pardon me. I've not properly introduced myself. I'm
our new schoolmate, Miss Emily Whiteley, yes? I've seen you in the morning paper. I hear you're a detective of Her Majesty's also. My name is Sarah Marple.
Where have I heard Marple before? Ah, yes, you dance expertly in our class on proper etiquette. Now I'm even more impressed.
Do you really think so? I've never met someone so easily impressed with every little thing before. You're a funny girl. If you wouldn't mind, would you like to lunch together?
That is an idea. I took a seat and opened my lunchbox next to Marple's. The more I see it, the more mouth-watering your cooking looks. And the tea smells just wonderful.
Thank you. Come now, use this to wipe your hands.
Marple handed me a petite napkin. Thank you.
Here you are, a tomato and cheese sandwich.
She waited till I'd finished wiping my hands properly before handing me some of her food. You're too kind. Oh, it's scrumptious.
And this too, an apricot tart.
Dessert too? You spoil me.
How does it taste?
Like heaven.
Someone is unusually chipper this morning. What are you doing?
What does it look like? I'm feeding her.
You're feeding her.
She's had a sandwich and dessert already. She's a most fascinating girl.
Feeding me?
Oh? And why are those cheeks popping out so much?
Stop! That tickles! I couldn't decide with how she prodded my cheeks if she was being affectionate or cruel. Yet the two of us eating together appeared to soften the atmosphere of the room in a way that was very much needed. That smell is making me hungry.
The same for me. Shall we eat then?
One after another, the students began to take out their lunchboxes. I suppose Marple's relaxed temperament was infectious.
A bit silly, aren't they? Can't imagine why they thought going hungry was a good idea.
Marple, who had remained expressionless to a polished degree until then, presented the smallest hint of a smile. I rather liked that soft smile.
Well, you don't see that every day. Bit eerie when she does it, though. Pet therapy can do wonders. I'm surprised you know that. Wait a minute! Don't call Emily a pet! I never directly called her anything. At any rate, we should eat as well before the hour is over.
They thought they were speaking in whispers, but I could hear them clear as day. That Holmes and Watson, too. They think they can say whatever they please. Alright, well, they're gone now, so time for us to be on our way. Don't worry, Lupin. I'm good. You don't have to apologize, dude. Alright, so gonna skip most of this delightful, I was gonna say quest, chapter. About love and poison and all those Shakespearean type of things. Oh yeah, I forgot that we talked to the boys about the poison. Excellent. Okay, so there is some stuff that we're gonna see in this one. I'd like Watson's opinion since his father is a doctor. I imagine he would know plenty about meds. Man, my mouth stopped working at that word. Ahem. I imagine he would know plenty about medicine, too. Marple nodded in agreement.
Very well. Then let's meet along Baker Street tomorrow.
Here we go. 221B Baker Street was the address for Holmes and Watson's shared flat. They were one of several within a charming 3-story brick building which Marple and I now stood before. What a handsome little flat! And they've even room to spare to make it their office.
I've heard rumors that the landlady here is a young girl.
Young?
Does that bother you?
No! It would never!
Never? You certainly gave the impression that it did. Here we are.
Oops! Marple made such a sudden stop that I nearly bumped into her. Conveniently, she ignored my clumsiness and knocked on the door. I heard an active thumping towards the door before it was swiftly opened.
Hello? May I ask who... Oh, hi there.
Good afternoon, Watson. I have something I'd like to ask you, so I came here with Marple today.
I see. It's a bit messy inside, but please, come in. It's possible with convulsions and vomiting that it could be related to the brain. Any other symptoms?
Only the ones we listed.
So those two while slipping in and out of consciousness. I can't say with confidence that this is even an illness.
What do you mean?
I've never heard of any illness that causes all three at once. Even if it did, there should be a certain order to their appearance. Could this be related at all to poisoning, perhaps? Hold on.
Watson raced to the back room.
I thought it was around this page.
I heard him ruffling through papers from the back room, half mumbling to himself and half speaking to us in a tone that said his mind was concentrated elsewhere.
Sorry, I'm not too acquainted with poison, so... It's supposed to be around here. Oh, found it! Ah, but there are quite a lot of them listed.
Ground rinse? What's that? Watson returned with the same research materials Holmes brought to class the day before and presented them to us. He pointed to the text of a specific page before elaborating on its contents.
This is a list of poisons and their various symptoms. Here are perfect matches. Apricots, cowbane, poison nuts, aconite, and conium.
So it really is likely to be a poison.
Watson, how simple would it be to mix these with medicine?
If someone is studied in the field, then very.
That's my medicine. My doctor recently prescribed it to me. It's a Chinese herbal medicine, I suppose. I've been told it was specially blended for me.
Fowl Clinic. Same as her doctor's name she mentioned earlier. Thank you, Watson. This was a great help. Marple, let's go to the clinic.
That's a good idea.
I'll come visit with delicious sweets next time. Thank you again.
Can't wait. I'll have some tea prepared for you next time then, too.
Yay. Marple and I politely excused ourselves before retiring in a hurry.
I wonder what Emily is investigating. Oops, I forgot to ask.
Good job, Watson. Okay, so we can skip ahead a little bit again. I'm actually going to save, just so I don't skip over Watson too much. Don't skip. Okay. Because I know we're going to go talk to them and have him examine the medicine bottle, so... Okay, so we're visiting them. Marple got the thing. Holmes and Watson, then. Marple moved at an admirable speed for having such short legs. I was not tall myself, but it took considerable work on my end not to be left behind. We both stopped upon hearing a quarrel in the distance, however. Oh, Rafus. I'm gonna skip over Rafus. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Alright. With nothing more to debate on the issue, we returned to the Baker Street office.
May I ask who's there?
It was the second time we had visited in a day, and what a busy day it had been. Good afternoon again. Is it all right if we come in and talk for a bit?
Oh, it's no trouble. How can I help? What is it, Watson? Oh, a guest. I'm afraid we're busy. You don't have to lie. We're not busy and you know it. Well, make yourselves comfortable.
Watson sported a welcoming grin as he opened the door for us.
I'm not some jack of all trades. This won't be as easy as you... Leave it to me, then. It's hardly difficult to examine medicine.
Watson abruptly cut Holmes off, earning a nasty glare in return.
And what reason do you have to do this? No questions asked. You may have nothing to do, but I have been inundated with... That's why I said to leave it to me. Now, with that sorted, have a seat and I shall dive into research.
Thank you.
Permit me to accompany you.
Marple followed after Watson. I'm sorry to barge in without warning.
There is nothing to be done now that you're here.
From then on, Holmes and I shared silence.
Oh, come to think of it.
There was more for us to do than wait, I thought. I reached into my pocket for the shell I'd found in Angelica's room. I'd placed it there in a rush since Marple wanted to leave. Holmes was quick to become curious.
Miss Whiteley, what is that?
This? I'm wondering that myself. I fear I don't know what it is.
May I? I wish to take a closer look.
Please do. Here. I gave the shell to Holmes. It was such a tiny thing, but he still inspected it from every possible angle he could, flipping it around, feeling the texture of its surface, and tapping it.
It's the shell of an apricot seed.
That's all?
When you break its shell, you'll find an apricot kernel inside. An interesting fact. A decomposed, unripe kernel can lead to prussic acid poisoning when mixed with gastric fluid.
It's frightening to think of such a little thing as poisonous.
I concur, but it is possible to remove the poison. There's even medicine in the East that makes use of the kernel. It all depends on how it's prepared. Anything can become a weapon if that's how you intend to use it.
So a shell to an apricot seed, is it?
Success! The test is complete. We can now safely conclude there isn't a drop of poison to be found in this medicine.
Watson appeared from the back room, cheerfully shaking the small bottle, with Marple not far behind.
I could find no error in his examination. He is well on his way to becoming a first-rate doctor.
I am not. On my way to becoming a first-rate detective, more like.
Thank you, Watson. Marple, Holmes informed me that this is the shell of an apricot seed.
Where did you find this, Emily?
In Angelica's room when we went to retrieve her medicine. I thought to take it with me since something about it struck me.
Its seed contains something that's rather poisonous, doesn't it?
Could she have broken the shell and mixed the kernel in with the jam?
But no one mentioned apricot jam, and it's not possible to extract poison from a ripe apricot.
It's been some time since the kernel was taken from the shell. The scent is long gone. But a fresh one smells quite good, similar to an almond.
Of course, an almond! Marple and I were of one mind. Her face tensed.
If it's what we're thinking, then we must return immediately, Emily.
Bye, guys! Alright, so the confession, the forgiveness, the banishment. Alright, those guys are chatting. I think this is... Okay. Yeah, I'm like, I think this is the end? Yes. Alright, we're talking to you. And this is our first time we're going to write in our diary. Perhaps I should write in my diary. Every day, I attempted to add something new. I flipped to a fresh blank page. Recently, I made a new friend, an absolute darling by the name of Sarah Marple.
If you wouldn't mind, would you like to lunch together? Here you are, a tomato and cheese sandwich.
The scones she bakes have such a mouth-watering flavor to them.
Sarah says what comes to mind so directly that many find her to be callous. But she has a keen sense for how others feel and is equally true to herself. I'm a bit unrefined and insensitive, you know, but Sarah's always taken the time to look after me. I know you and Sarah will become fast friends. I've not seen her smile the way she was when the two of you had tea together in forever.
She plays at being distant, but she's so very kind and she cares deeply for her friends. Achievement, duly noted. Nice. There, I thought as I finished. That should be enough. I'm a bit exhausted. Perhaps I should head straight to bed. Alright, just gonna... There we go. To be continued.